Okay, number 2. Here's kind of the practical application. So we got new, improved, improving. New, improved, improving. New creates momentum. Improved, it's got to be significantly better. Improving means we're constantly evaluating, constantly evaluating, constantly evaluating. Roman numeral 2 is applying the new, improved, and improving idea to the world of ministry. So here are just some things to throw out to you as you begin to think about new. How do you do new? Number 1, under letter A, new personnel. New personnel, obviously new leadership, obviously creates momentum oftentimes. And let me say this, if a lack of momentum doesn't bother your current personnel, you have some wrong personnel. And I know that's because that was the guy who works for a senior pastor he's not too bothered by the lack of momentum maybe, I don't know. But if you're working for someone or working with people and a lack of momentum doesn't bother them, then that's when you start looking at the people around you and go, just because we can pay the bills, that I don't think that's what our mission is, pay the bills. Number 2, new programming. You know this. Anytime you drop new programming into your ministry, menu or smorgasbord, there's an element of momentum. The problem here is, and we'll talk about this a little bit later, and Craig's going to touch on this, is we have an unwillingness oftentimes to stop doing things. We just keep adding. And you know this, when you start stretching resources thin, it's very difficult to do anything with excellence. And if you're not doing with excellence, it's not going to be a significant improvement over what you were doing before. And it may be a tweak, but it's not going to create momentum. Number 3 is a new season. This is something that we learned early on and we just come back to this over and over and over and over and over. In certain areas of ministry, it's best to shut things down and restart in the fall. And the thing that was so weird when we started doing this, other church people said, but don't you lose momentum? And we say, no, we gain momentum. Because when you shut something down in the spring, or you shut something down after a season, take some time off and relaunch it, the relaunch is experienced as something new. And so you create new momentum. Where we've really learned a lot about this is in singles ministry. We have tried all kinds of different approaches to singles ministry. We've had some great success. We'll talk about that a little bit later as well with some assumptions we've changed about singles. But here's what we discovered. That singles ministry, unlike children's ministry or student ministry or adult married couple ministry, singles ministry has a shorter lifespan than any other area of ministry we do. Whereas the children's ministry, you can run 5 or 6 years the same way and never have to change a thing because parents are dropping them off. If nobody gets hurt or lost, it's a win for the parents, right? Because safety is the number 1 value in children's ministry. I hope they learn something, but are they safe? My kids can quote, all 66 books of the Bible, but they've been lost 4 times and we found them in the park. They're not coming back, okay? Safety is number 1. Now, here's what we learned in singles ministry. The life cycle of effective singles ministry, not the type of ministry, but the grouping of singles is shorter than any other area. Once we finally figured out the rhythm of the average single and began to program to it, which means we run our fusion groups for a while, then we shut them down. Then we relaunch and shut them down. That cycle is shorter than anything else we do, but we finally found the rhythm of how singles do ministry here. We kept trying to run it like a student ministry or children's ministry where you just do the same thing for a long time and you treat summers the same as you treat fall. But the seasonality of certain ministries allows you to create momentum. For our Kid Stuff program, which I'll talk about a little bit later too, we just changed that. But for years and years and years, we always shut down Kid Stuff. That's the environment where families come together to do worship on Sunday morning. We shut that down in the spring. People say, why don't you run it in the summer? Our kids have more time in the summer. Because we want to relaunch in the fall. Because our relaunch is a huge creator of momentum. Now, this again, will fly in the face a little bit of certain ministry models, and you've got to figure out how to apply this in your world. But whenever you can shut down and restart, you have created the opportunity for something new as it relates to momentum. The other example of that is when we, and Craig knows way more about this than me, but when we have churches, we've had a couple of opportunities to come alongside other churches that want to do something different. And the 2 times that we've done this, we've said, well, if we're going to help you, you have to go out of business. You have to shut down. You have to go dark. Now, we'll try to keep your people connected, but you have to go out of business. And they're like, wait, we're going to lose momentum. Nope, we're going to create momentum. Because when we relaunch, it's going to be new. And new creates momentum. Simply tweaking what you're doing and trying to tweak you to the point where you're doing what you want to do, it's too difficult. Go out of business. go dark, relaunch, brand new. New creates momentum. And if it's a significant improvement over what was happening, you'll be able to sustain your momentum. Number 4, a new series. If you're a communicator with student ministry or your church, anytime you do a new series, if you package that right, it creates an element of momentum. A new look, whether it's staging or the building or, anytime you do a new look, there's an opportunity to do something new. New venues. For those of you who are doing multi-campus, you know all about this. Anytime you open up a new campus, what happens? There's new momentum. It can be the same thing you're doing at your other campus, but the fact that it's new, it's a new area. Anytime you open a new service, anytime you open a new auditorium, anytime you create empty seats at optimal worship times, whether they're on your campus or somewhere else, it's momentum. Everything that's new is going to create some kind of momentum. That's how you trigger it. Then the tweaking is what allows you to continue to improve and continue to keep it relevant to what's going on. Under improving, look for ways, number 1 under letter B, look for ways to upgrade your presentations. In terms of the improving part, this part over here where it's crest and it's crest and it's crest and it's more crest, our version of that in programming isn't simply new t-shirts and new colors and new decorations and new stage set. I mean, that's part of it. But part of it is trying to figure out how to do new and different kinds of presentations. Because again, David always kills Goliath every time, right? Can't change the story, And Moses always comes down with 10, not 11, not 9, 10. So the stories are the same. So we're kind of locked into that, which is a good thing, The question is, can we change up our presentations in such a way so that people go, wow, the presentation, they're not going to use the word presentation, but the presentation's better. There's improvement. Number 2, visit other organizations. That's one of the reasons some of you are here. All of us love to go see what other people are doing. We love to go see what other people are doing. In the kinds of churches that most of us are in, hopefully you know this, size is really irrelevant. It really is irrelevant because we're all basically doing the same stuff, and over time, if you do the right thing, you're going to get bigger. And if you stay focused, 10 years from now, you'll basically be doing the same thing you're doing now, you'll just have more people. So size isn't the issue. So visiting other churches of varying sizes is one of the ways that we learn to improve and do things better. Then number 3 is attending, as I already say that one, attending other churches.